Hey, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and hey, you can do this. And by this, I mean CStrip2. Channel strip. Here we go. Now you're going to be hearing that groove for a while. CStrip2 is a bunch of different things that might be useful to you in the mix context. It's an EQ, it's high passes and low passes, and it's compression. And the reason it exists is the original CStrip had too many controls to fit into the VCV Rack template that we use, that Paul uses for making a VCV Rack version of this. And I was asked for some of these changes. I was asked for this to be the same, take out the timing thing that the original CStrip had, take out the gate. You have access to the gate if I'm not mistaken. If you don't, I'll release it as a separate plugin. And replace the high pass and low pass that the original CStrip had with the ones from Capacitor. Oh, and put a saturation effect on the output. So here, let's play with this a little bit, and then I will turn it over to you, because this is a audio unit, VST, etc. plugin for Mac, Windows, Linux, Raspberry Pi, who knows what. And when you turn it on, it sounds exactly like the raw signal, because it's designed to bypass stuff that's not being used. But when we start doing things, there's when you're going to start hearing something happening. Let's roll. Turn it on. Nothing happens. But treble, mid-range, low. Now there's an interesting thing about this. This treble, mid-range, and bass is a method of doing this which I don't think anybody else does. And it's using the same kind of saturation and anti-saturation that you're hearing on Console 8 Lite, which is mixing this stuff. What you're hearing is not an analog mix, but it's acting like one, because you're hearing the output of Console 8 Lite. And by the same token, the saturation and inverse saturation is being used on the frequencies here. So if everything is pulled back as far as it'll go, this is actually slightly peak expanded relative to the regular sound. It makes it drop back a little bit in the sound stage. Whereas if we put stuff to the middle or forward, what you end up getting is a sound that comes forward or falls back. And that is a useful way of handling frequencies like treble, mid-range, and bass. We've also got a frequency control on these guys, which I can demonstrate. Here's lots of lows. Only deep lows. And mids. Highs, very bright highs, mid-range. Mind you, these are not especially steep filters. This is the kind of thing which I'm likely to use in future forms of EQ that might go on to future versions of console. There's some versions that I have been looking towards where the target is to maybe emulate real-world consoles like famous ones. And a lot of those have distinctive EQ options. They have distinctive choices being made where it's not just do anything you want, but it's like the treble starts at here, and that's where you can add. you get stuff like more treble, or not as much, or too much mid-range. And it goes into the tone of whatever that console was. This, of course, is CStrip, so this one will let you pick whatever frequencies you want, but if you wanted something more sharp filter-wise, that's where the high pass and low pass, I'm calling it low cap and high cap, because it's like this is where you would build into the high cap would be the high pass, and you can filter it until there's like nothing left. And it's a really steep filter relative to what's going on in the 3-band EQ. By the same token, low cap it's a wide-ranging, fairly steep filter. It's a little bit like isolator. So one of the things that you could do, oh, hang on. It's in here somewhere. Where is my getter box? It's this one. So if you're putting this on a single track, and this is what you're using, but you'd like to have it be a lot more confined in tone, you can use these. And that's going to isolate the sounds much more accurately. You could also do it with the mid-range, or both. One side effect to a issue that can sometimes arise with the VST is that it can be very difficult to go back to exactly 0, whereas the AU and certain DAWs will let you set a number on these. But one thing about CStrip is that if these are set to literally 0, it bypasses that whole section. Now you might notice there's one other thing that we have on here, and it is called compress. And that is the CStrip built-in compressor, which is this. Now that's a very low compression speed of 0. And you'll notice that you're not meant to turn it up all the way because it gives you a bit of an extreme result. So what you can do is not turn it up all the way. And then your compression speed will let you sort of dial in the behavior that you want out of it, whether it's a lot quicker, raunchier, or a lot slower. Slower is also going to give you cleaner attacks and releases. And some of these will be more suitable for drums and things. Some of them will be more suitable for things like vocals. I was asked to leave the compressor exactly the same, and so that's what I have done. You'll find that around the center is where it starts to kick in. We can exaggerate it really hard, or we can turn it down there's a certain amount of space here where you'll start seeing a compression behavior happening. But with CStrip2, we're not quite done, because what we've got is this output control. And you'll notice that it is starting out at 0.33. That equates to essentially flat. Unlike the previous output control, this is a saturator. I was asked to put a saturator on there, and I've invented a new one, which I think might work out pretty well in this context. From 0 to 0.33 is just level, it's just gain. You could set this up to work with, I don't know, Purist Console or something that doesn't have controls on it. Or you can use it with Console 8 Lite or wherever you want to put it. As you push beyond 0.33, you go into Airwindows spiral, and we can get loud. But it doesn't stop there, because if we go beyond there, it crossfades into Airwindows density. What we have here is basically a recent version of channel, but applied to the output stage of CStrip. And you can do this. So with that, you can have all of the overdrive that you could want. Here, let's do one further thing. Now we're on just a bass. Let's boost the bass. Let's compress it. Let's compress it more. And let's distort it. And let's add some highs. Cut the mid a lot. And then we can push it as far as we want to saturate and distort the sound that we had before, turning the sound that we started with into something that's much more exaggerated using CStrip alone. And of course all this stuff interacts with each other, so we can keep it really distorted, we can back it off a little bit, we can have this exaggerated compression, or we can pull the compression back. We can have the bass be boosted or bring some of the mids back, and we can sneak the high cap up. Which will interact with the way that it hits the compressor. Or just go for full distorted effect without any compression on it at all. And all of these things work this way. So CStrip2 is a redesign having to do with things that I was asked to do to it. And it has been cut back to exactly 10 sliders. Let's count those. Yep, 10 sliders. And that means that it is available in the VCV Rack version of the Airwindows plugins. And I'm definitely thinking about talking to Paul about diving back into the clap plugin, because my idea is I think he should be able to use similar like just make it work about the same as the VCV Rack version. And then that can follow along as well. But we'll see whether that is this week that we end up doing that. At any rate, that should give you CStrip. You can download it and put it to work. I hope it works out for you. And this is by request, and I hope people like it. I hope you like my other videos, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.